Welcome to the next edition of the Resources podcast series. This week, we have a little different format in the form of a videocast. We believe the material within is extremely vital to discuss how our teenagers are facing critical issues in today's society. Mario Morales Jr., campus pastor for Rockpointe Church and owner of Made for More Consulting, speaks with a group of high school students about their everyday struggles when faced with bullying.
1 in 7 students in grades K through 12 are bullied or harassed. 160,000 students miss school because they are afraid to be bullied or harassed. And 75% of our school shootings here in the U.S. occur because of harassment or bullying. We have to bring students together. It's time to change the narrative. My name is Mario. Again, I've been doing this for about 10 or 12 years out in West Texas and here. So one of the things I want to tell you guys and start off with is some of the things that I'm like addicted to. So number one, those of you that, how many of you in here maybe have 30 or 40 pairs of shoes? Anybody besides me? Okay, how many of y'all would have over 60 pairs? Okay, so I have about 75 pairs of tennis shoes because that's what I love collecting, and I'll get to why I'm saying this. A little bit about what I want to tell you guys today is something that we all have in common, and it's inevitable, and it's pain. Every single one of us is going to face pain in our lives. It sucks, but it's true. Every one of us is going to feel pain. So how many of y'all have ever broken a bone in your body? Okay, multiple? Okay. How many of you have never done that? Okay. How many of y'all ever had your feelings hurt? So check this out. You see, we've all had pain in our lives, and that's kind of where we're going to head. I want to share this with you, is that pain is inevitable. We're going to talk about how that makes us feel and what happens if we don't, okay? So here's what I want you to see is, I know some of you have seen this before, but I want to know, how many of y'all know what sank the Titanic? Will, what was it? An iceberg, right? So if we draw this is what's interesting about an iceberg. An iceberg is always visible, 10% on top, 90% below. So if we were on a boat together today, here's the thing, 10%, and the reason that Titanic sank was because they were going along, and what did they say? Oh, we can get through here. So one of my first things I need to tell you is this, is what you can't see can hurt you. What we can't see in our lives can sometimes hurt us. And so what I want to start with is this. Let's have some fun and be nice about it. But what are some things that you can see on the outside? If I showed up and I said, hey, describe me really quick. Go for it.
You have glasses.
Okay. Here we go. Watch. Glasses. Somebody say another one. Black hair. Still have hair, yes.
Athletic.
Athletic. Thank you. I try to be. What else?
Watch.
I have a watch. What else? I'm short. Thank you. What else? Hispanic. Thank you. You can say Mexican, Hispanic, doesn't matter to me. Okay, so check this out. This is where I want you to see that what we don't see can hurt us. Again, you guys, I can say this about you all day. I can say, you know what, Thomas has a black shirt on, has superheroes on it. I can say Stephanie has like this teal shirt on. Zach has a purple shirt on. I can see you guys and say, this is what I see on the outside. But what we can't see in life can hurt us. Here's what I need to tell you, the 90% that you guys don't see. There's a little bit of stress in my life. Some of you can see that because some of you know me a little bit better. A little bit of anxiety. This is a little bit about my life dealing with death. A lot of death in my life. Depression, drugs, and alcohol have played a huge role in what's happened in my life. Suicide. Divorce. At the moment, some of you, they're working through some hurt right now. And here's a big one in my life. Like anger. So what you can't see is that I'm carrying all this stuff. And if this water level is here, a lot of the times, then I can show you the athletic, the clean beard cut, the glasses, all that, but you don't know what's going on in here. And that's where I say there's a problem. Because if you take this and I translate it to you guys and we each fill this out in our own lives, we're going to see really quick that, what did I say? Pain is inevitable. Each one of us is carrying something, correct? You guys see what I'm saying? So here's what my goal in life is to take this water level and lower it right here. My first question for you is, what's so dangerous about keeping the water level here in our lives? Somebody just tell me. Y'all fire off some answers. Pain can build up. Can't get help if no one knows. Could it break down? Yeah, you can explode easier. So here's the thing, though. I want to start off by going back a little bit in my childhood. This is where I learned to do this. So as a kid, how many of you have ever lied? Okay. How many of you have ever lied to impress someone else about yourself? Okay, so as a kid, check this out. I grew up, I was the smallest in my grade. Little short Mexican dude, right? Didn't get to play baseball. Didn't get to play football or any contact sports because I got hit by a drunk driver and I was in a body cast, was in a coma, fractured my skull, and they didn't think I was going to live. So after coming out of that, my parents thought for the longest time that I was like this fragile person. Never got to play football. So what I did is I saw that growing up in a small town in West Texas, Midland, Odessa, Friday night lights, all I wanted to do was play football. But my friends, that's what they did. And I couldn't because my parents wanted to protect me. So what did I do? I lied about it. I lied to what? To fit in. So here's what happens when you and I lie about ourselves, when we're not okay with our self-image. And here's another one. We can write that down. Self-image. For me, when I struggle with that, that means I'm lying to others. I'm not okay about myself. I don't like myself, which in turn tells me I'm okay hurting myself or I'm okay putting myself down. And over and over and over again, when you do that, it becomes consistent. And what happens? Your results in putting yourself down over and over again, you're someone with low self-esteem and you hate yourself. And that's where I want us to get away from. But here's what I did as a kid. I learned to lie about those things. Oh yeah, I play football. Oh yeah, I have this or that. And I was lying to others so I could fit in. Anybody else ever, to fit in? Anybody lied to fit in? Okay. So as I got older, I started to excel in baseball. Played baseball all my life, okay? All my life I played baseball. My number one dream was never to go pro, it was just to play for the University of Texas. So my junior high year comes around and I meet this guy, my best friend, his name's Victor. The problem with Victor was he was a punk, okay? He was known to be a punk. And so I was this kid that just wanted to fit in. And here's what I got to tell you is what happens when a group of people accept you? Do you tend to push them away or do you tend to hang out with them? Even if they're the wrong crowd? Yes, because everybody wants to fit in. So I have this pain, I'm lying, these guys accept me, so guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to hang out with them all the time. So Victor, I'm talking about stealing, he's getting into fights, and that's what I go, we're going to go, and I'm going to be a part of this. My parents don't know, and I'm in junior high, and he's an 8th grader, I'm a 7th grader, he's supposed to be a freshman, I'm just telling you, he's a punk. There's drugs involved in his life. So I start to hang out with this guy. And we get to know each other very, very well. So my 8th grade year, I know that I'm going to try to go out to play football. All this is going to come together because you're going to see what this does in my life. 8th grade year, I told my parents, I want to try to play football in high school. Okay, maybe your head won't fall off when you're in high school. And I'm like, well, I should have been playing all this. They're like, no, because you're fragile, your head's going to fall off, all this. I'm like, whatever. Still scrawny little dude, playing baseball, but as an 8th grader, check this out. The high school coach came and watched me play an 8th grade game, and he said, hey, you're a heck of a baseball player. I said, I've always wanted to play all my life, baseball. That's just been my life because I can't play contact sport. So before I got into my freshman year, I started to get into trouble with Victor more and more. And one of the things I want to show you is that as these years passed and these started to add up and I was trying to hide, this is what I was doing with my life. Things started to add up and I wouldn't tell anyone. And I think Zach said it earlier, is if I don't tell anyone, we start to go, I'm not going to get help. And it just starts to add up. Whether it's lying, whether it's depression, whether it's anger, Whether it's even things that have been done to you or you've done to someone else. If you've hurt other people and you carry that guilt, here's the thing is I can write that one down too. Look, how many of you have ever felt guilty for something and you just carry it with you? See what I'm saying? And if you don't take care of that, here's what we do. We just shake, right? And you start to boil all that up. So my freshman year, I got to play football. And I'm telling you, you may think this is the stupidest thing, but this is one of the most defining moments in my life. One of the reasons Made for More was even made. My coach, they called it grays back in the day. We would just wear grays, which was a gray shirt, gray shorts, and your helmet. And I was this scrawny little Mexican dude with a helmet bigger than me. And so I had my last name, Morales, and he goes, Morales, you're going to be quarterback. And I looked at the coach and I said, I've never played football in my entire life. Maybe Madden on Nintendo, but that's it. He goes, but you're going to be quarterback. I said, Coach, you realize I've never played football in my entire life and you're putting me to play quarterback? He said, yes. And one of the things he said was this. He said, I see potential in you. I see that you're a leader. And I go, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. But then when we got into our first few games and I started playing football, I started realizing that I could command a team and go, hey, I think I'm built for this. Had nothing to do with football. It was who the coach saw inside of me. But here's the other thing. I kept doing this. I started lying again to my parents, lying about things that were happening. I was being told, again, I grew up in a predominant white school. The first African-American that graduated from that school was with me in the year 2000, and she was the only one. And so all this bullying, all this race talk, it was going on. And here's what I do. My freshman year, I'm hanging out with Victor, getting in trouble. Baseball rolls around, football finishes, baseball rolls around, and I get to be a varsity baseball player as a freshman. I get to pitch. And I go, this is my dream. I have some high school students, some varsity players that acknowledge me as the freshman. And so I start to hang out with older people. Again, Victor, being older than I am, getting into fights, doing things. And here's where some of us, we let the stress of school just pile in. And we don't like to talk about things. Mom, Dad, I'm okay. And then grades come around. And you're trying to hold your grades up high for a sport, right? Or you're trying, and then maybe the struggles at home. For me, my dad worked a summer. Most of his jobs were in the summer, which is irrigation. So when winter came, it got tight around our house and tempers went up and stress level went up. So when my dad was upset, no one would say anything. And I felt that, and I would just get angry with him. And so here's what we do. We take these Band-Aids and we go, you know what? I can handle it on my own. So do you think if I throw this up really quick, this Band-Aid's going to hold this Coke inside here? Okay. So here's the other thing we do. We go, you know what? Maybe me not talking to someone won't work, but maybe if I act out and do what I want to do, that'll heal the pain. And I'll ignore everybody else. Do you think these two Band-Aids are going to hold this Coke in? No. So we don't talk to anybody. We do what we want to do. And then we turn to what in high school, stressing out, freshman, have some pretty good things going for me. And you start turning to drugs and alcohol. And you go, this will manage the pain. Do you think 3 Band-Aids will hold if I go ahead and throw this up real quick? Okay. So we're not talking to anybody. We're handling things on our own. We're maybe medicating ourselves with things that we say. And then this last one, I'm thinking, you know what? I'm not going to tell anybody, but I'm just going to hold it in. I can handle this on my own. I'm not going to talk to anyone. Talking to people is weakness to me. Do you think 4 Band-Aids will hold this? Okay. So in the end, this will still explode. But when you and I try to do things on our own, we don't talk to people, we bottle it up, and we start turning to things, all it does is it raises that water level right here. Gets higher and higher. And you start to feel it because you go, I'm just stressed. And so we're going to get to that point where we feel so stressed out, something can happen. Small things get you sent over the edge. That still happens as an adult. I go home carrying all this stuff, and guess who gets the brunt of what I'm carrying, my kids, my wife. And that's not okay. That's why I'm saying when we talk about these things, it's important to talk to each other. It's important to go, I don't need to tell everyone my problems, but I can have some friends that are close enough inside this circle where I go, we got to do this together. I need you to just to be my sounding board. Freshman, sophomore, junior year, I led her as a varsity baseball player. I get to talk to the University of Texas about playing baseball. Where did I tell you I've always wanted to live? Austin, right? So I start talking to them about playing baseball, furthering that career. And my junior year, warming up, my arm just blows up. Everything in my shoulder's jacked. Couldn't hold my arm up. And right then and there, everything's done. Because I go, do you think that a place that is trying to offer you a full ride cares about you if your athletic ability is gone? They don't care. So here's the other thing. I lost something that meant so much to me. And if you don't know how to handle loss, whether it's a loved one, whether it's a relationship, like breaking up, to me, I say this to students, and you guys know this, that a breakup in your life is almost just like death at times, because sometimes your peers or your adult parents or maybe your teachers don't understand that because they're married or they're single. But you guys, I need you to keep in mind that sometimes when somebody's going through a breakup, it means a lot to them. That's why when I talk to you guys and go, I'm going through a breakup, I got to tell you, I'm sorry. I know how that feels. It hurts. It does. So when you don't know how to handle a loss, that water level just keeps going up. And then you throw in, again, you have to live life every day. School, grades, work. So my junior year, that happens. And this is where my story takes a crazy, stupid turn. One of the things I try to do is tell everybody, if we all have pain, we're all the same. We are on the same playing field. But if we have each other and we know what we're going through, it brings down like the level of bullying. It brings down the level of mistrust. You have connections with people. We all hurt. We all have pain. So this exercise is built to go, I'm going to identify and show people what I've gone through. So this is where we take what we've been through and you see that you're not alone. Understanding that you're not alone is vital. So like self-hurt, whether it's cutting, whether it's hurting yourself, whatever, if that's something you've dealt with, I want you to come over here. So check this out, that you guys are not alone. The biggest factor is going, man, there's something wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. This is something that we deal with. This is something that we go through, and we got to be there for each other. And if you're on this side, like for me, I'd never dealt with this until I came here and go, man, how do I help? Here's what we got to do. We got to be better listeners. And here's one of the things that I've learned is if you have a friend that can't talk, this is what I would do. This is what I love the most is I go, let me go with you to get some help. And you know what they love about that is, man, I have a friend that's in it with me. My best friend and I had been getting in trouble for 3 or 4 years. So my senior year starts, and I told you the whole potential thing, right, with my coach. My junior year, the last week of my junior year, the nurse calls me and she says, hey, you've been nominated for a leadership class. And I laughed at her. No joke. I just laughed at her. I said, are we done? Because I gotta go. She goes, no, you've been nominated for a leadership class. And I was like, okay, that sounds stupid because no one knows who I am. And I'm the biggest punk on this campus. How am I nominated? She goes, because someone sees something in you. She says, you don't see it, but someone else sees it in you. And they've nominated you for this class. And I'm just going to tell you, you're going to be in this class your senior year. And I'm like, bull crap, I'm not going to be in this class. And it was PALS. And I said, okay, whatever. So I go, and I have to tell the guy that spent so much time investing in me that I have to quit baseball because I can't play. So on one hand, someone's nominated me for a class. I'm feeling really low, and this is where I got to tell you, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can hurt forever. I'm in history class, and I'm probably sitting about where Zach is, my teacher's over here. Class is dismissed. Everyone leaves and I'm still sitting down. And he goes, Morales, what do you need? And he knows I'm hurt. This guy's been watching me since I was an 8th grader. He's like a second dad to me. I come up and I said, Coach, I can't play anymore. And he looks at me and he says, you're a quitter. You're nothing but a quitter. Get your stuff and get out of here. And I look at him and listen, with all this stuff, when someone takes that pin and hits that balloon, or we throw this up and it explodes, it's not a good sight. And when he called me that, everything inside me wanted to leap across that desk and just choke him till he couldn't breathe anymore, because I was going, you don't know what I'm carrying. And when he said, you're going to quit the rest of your life, I said, are you done, Coach? And he said, yeah. And I just left. I went to the cafeteria, sat down. No one said a word to me, because what do? We hide it all. And this right here, look, I will write in big letters, words have played the most significant role in my life because of the things that my dad has said, my coaches, and I've carried those. And if we don't share this, you end up like me. When he said that, I was done. And what do you think I did for the next 10, this is crazy, for the next 10 years of my life? I lived every single day going, I'm going to prove him wrong, that I'm not a quitter. Do you think he even cared where I was after 10 years? Heck no. We say it this way. I was eating the poison, hoping he would die. He didn't care where I was. But you know why I did that? Because no one ever taught me to go, you need to talk about what's going on. So take this, look, take this and multiply it in here. 20-something people. We're hiding a lot of stuff. We've been hurt a lot. And here's what I want to ask you. How many of you in here have ever been hurt by someone else's words? Okay? Need you to be honest about this one. How many of you have hurt someone else with your own words? And here's what I always got to keep in mind, especially with my daughters. Because there's times that I can remember to the day where I was when my dad said something to me. Is we got to remember that we could also be the reason someone carries something for 10 years. The way we call it bullying, right? When we bully someone, they may hold on to that for 10 years. They may be the reason, we may be the reason they struggle for 20 years. Talking about their weight, talking about the way they look, talking about the way they dress, the way they act. Here's what I'm saying, is we don't see when someone walks in this, we see this. That's why it's vital to go, there's more to a person than what we see. So my junior year finishes, I'm angry inside, and I show up to Powell's class. In November, my best friend Victor went to a party. They were on a boat. They were high. They were drunk. It was cold in Colorado City. The boat flips over. And I don't know if you've ever been on the water at night, but you can't see where you're going if there's no lights. And I'll just tell you this, 5 yards. He was 5 yards from the shore when he drowned. His mind wasn't in it. He had no idea he was only 5 yards away from the shore. My other two friends that I still have a hard time talking to could hear him yelling for help and they weren't doing anything. And I was always saying, the next couple of days, I said, he's running from the cops, because that's what we did. He's laying low. He went south. He'll come back. Just give him some time. And then they went and drugged the lake, and they found his body. Worst day of my life, because I've never lost anybody that close. Like, he was like a brother to me. Why? Remember what I said? I lied my whole life to fit in, but he said, I accept you, even though he was a punk. And that's what we go for. So if you and I can eliminate not talking to people and stop putting people down, we can accept those people and go, you can fit in here. But I fit in with him. So when he passed away, I will tell you, I'm somebody that counsels people. I hate going to counseling myself. First time I went to counseling last year, she told me to walk through what happened at his funeral. And I said, I can remember the day, and that's what changed my life. Was I sat there and I said, if I don't change my life, I'm going to end up just like him. I said that sitting in my Mustang, looking at the casket come out of the car, and I said, if I don't change my life, I'm next. But I started doing some artwork. It made it big, made it on national television with Deion Sanders. He played for the Cowboys. He took one of my artworks, hung it in his locker room, took it to his house. He still has one of the artworks that I have, or he still has the art piece that I drew for him. Well, a kid's house burned down, and I was raffling off tickets to make money to pay for this kid's stuff that he lost. Well, the girl sitting next to me, who was a band nerd, who now is my wife, and I keep calling her that because she called me a player and a thug. So she's sitting next to me, and here's the thing. At one point I go, she's pretty cute. And she kept saying, hey, we're praying for you. It's like I could care less. But I knew I wanted to go on a date with her now. And I was selling raffle tickets. So does anybody know what is needed on a raffle ticket? Your name, your number. And back in the day, we didn't have email. So I said, hey, will you put your name and number on here? She said, well, my mom's buying 25 raffle tickets. I said, no, don't put your mom's number. Put your number. So she put her number. And that Friday, I called her and I said, hey, Jamie, it's Mario. She was like, how'd you get my number? I was like, don't worry about it. And she goes, I said, would you like to go on a date? And she said, no. And to that day, and I'm not bragging, conceited, I said, no one has ever said no to me. What in the world? And she goes, sorry, but no, but you can go to church with me on Sunday. Whatever. I was like, yeah, okay, I'll talk to you Monday, and hung up on her. Sunday, guess where I ended up? I went to church. So I walked through the door. Weirdest thing happened to me. Shane will still tell you this. I walk in and Shane goes, hey, I'm Shane O'Brien. I've heard a lot about you and something special is going to happen between me and you. And I was like, dude, this is my first Sunday and you say something special is going to happen between us? Like, no, I'm going to go home. So here's what's interesting. Through the course of the next couple weeks, I started to see people that go, we care about this. It just happened to be a church. Doesn't matter if it's a church, if it's a class, an organization, but here's what I'm telling you. As they started to care about what I was going through. So what happened in my life keeps happening in other people's lives, and I have to go, they have potential, you have potential. So I'm gonna fast forward real quick to this. How do I get to where I put the water level down? So I was doing this my whole life. And I'm gonna tell you guys 2 words that kind of changed my life. I go to a recovery class, and it's stupid because I'm going, I don't need to talk about my problems. I don't need recovery issues. I don't have recovery issues. I'm not an alcoholic. I don't do drugs. So I go to this building. It's catty corner from here across Crystal Falls, sitting on the top deck. And one of the guys goes, hey, my name's so-and-so, and and he tells everybody what he is. And I'm like, okay, that was weird. You just said that out loud. Like, you're okay talking about that? And then the next guy goes, hey, my name's so-and-so, and this is what I struggle with. And I was like, okay, this is weird. Because they're talking about some real tough issues. Then it goes to the next person, the next person, the next person. And I start to put in my head, oh crap, they're gonna get to me and they're gonna expect me to say something. No lie, I have 2 like chocolate chip cookies and a Dr. Pepper. And in my head, I'm going, when it gets to me, I'm the new guy, so I'll say pass and I'll just put a cookie in my mouth. So this guy goes, and I stick a cookie in my mouth. They said, Mario, I was like, pass, it's my first night. And they go, no, we'll wait. I was like, well, I have another cookie and a Dr. Pepper. They said, oh, we'll wait. So here's what I have to tell you guys. All the stuff I was bottling up, all the stuff I was carrying for 10 years plus came out in the ugly cry that night because a group of men said, we want to know what's going on in your heart. And all I said was, I'm Mario, and here's where I've been hurt. And all this came out, and the water level came about right here. I started telling people all this, and this is what those guys said to me. They go, oh, that's it? I'm like, dude, I just poured out my heart to you. They were like, but we've been in jail. I've been in prison. And they were saying, I've been in prison, I've been in jail. And I'm like, true. They go, but what you're carrying does matter. It's the same thing for you guys. What we're carrying in here matters because that's the way we treat people out there, right? If you're on edge and I start pushing you, you're going to eventually let me have it and let me know what you're thinking. I don't know if you've ever been to the place where you go, you have to apologize for something you said because you were just in a bad mood that day. Anybody? Or hangry? Anybody? Right? Okay, so check this out. I went into Shane's office that next day to tell him what had happened that night. And he started laughing because he had gone through the same class. And he just looked at me and he said, man, it was weird. I have this ugly cry that just continues to happen with men, and it's awkward, but it's so refreshing that I sat in Shane's office and I said, hey man, I went to this class last night here, and he goes, yeah, how'd it go? And I just told him, and he goes, I got to tell you something. I said, okay, what? He looked at me straight in the eye and he just said, I'm sorry. And I looked and he goes, I'm sorry for what your coach said, for some of the stuff your dad said, for all the stuff you've gone through. And he started naming it. And what took place in my head was no one's ever apologized to me for that. And again, what did I say? Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can hurt forever, right? Let me tell you this. Words can give life or they can take them away. 2 words, I'm sorry, changed my whole entire, the way I look at those 2 words. So when you're sitting with someone, or I'm sitting with you and I say I'm sorry, I genuinely mean that because it can change the perception in your life going forward. You have the same power if you use words the right way. So all this to say that we have to watch what we keep down here. And you got to keep this in mind. I'm not just going to go and tell all of you what I struggle with. Why? Because you don't know me that way. There's trust issues, right? But I do have a few people in my life that I can go, hey, let's go grab some wings and let me talk to you. And they're not going to give me all this, like a perfect answer. They just know I'm just trying to say things. Why? Because you need to lower the water level enough to go, I need to get this out. And all this ties in to go, you know what? If you don't share what's going on in your heart and in your mind, then eventually it's going to come out on someone else, and it's not going to be pretty. So here, we've buried 6-7 students in the first 5 years that I was working here. 2 to disease, 1 to overdose, 1 to a suicide, and a couple, I think, an accident. But in all that, here's the thing that the reason I'm telling you this is going through this can be ugly, and you can resent it. You can be angry at people, or you can flip it and go, I'm going to use it to help other people because I see potential in you. I see potential in every one of you, but not every one of you may struggle with words. It may be death, and I've been there. So I'm going to go, you know what? I'm going to use what's happened in my life to help change someone else's life. It's all how you perceive it, all how you look at it. What would you add here from your life? I know we covered some, but I want some more. And I'll tell you, yeah. Anxiety. I know I have that on there, but I'm going to put it. No, it's okay. And you know what? Even if I have it on there, just say it. Forgiveness. What's that? Inferior. Yes. Trust issues. Rejection. Abandonment. Loneliness. That's good. With Andrew's word, that's the same way I felt. Again, when we lie to people about who we are, really you're trying to fight that loneliness to go, I'm going to fight so I can bring people in, but really you're trying to keep them at a distance. But then you want attention, but really you're alone. So that's a really good one, Zach. Andrew, thank you for sharing that. Who else? Abuse. Hatred. So watch. Let's stop right there for a second. How many of you in here have ever struggled with self-image? Raise your hand. Okay. Death. Divorce. How many of you have ever felt alone? Okay, so here's what I'm trying to get at. Is if we don't talk about these things and we don't face them, because the easiest thing is just to push them down. But if we don't address them and talk about them, we push all the ugliness to other people and we go, no, man, this is why I am the way I am. When we're short and we're carrying all this and we're about to explode, and when we do, we bully others, we push things on other people, because we're carrying this around and we're not being who we really are, the potential that people see in us. And when this comes out, we put that on other people as well. We may make other people feel alone because we're like, no, I don't need to go be with that person. So one of the things, again, dealing with bullying and dealing with mental health and dealing with maybe covering up that 90%, if your life has been affected if your life has been affected by suicide or you yourself have gone through those things, would you cross the line? This one's such a crazy, crazy topic, right? Because, I mean, again, Megan Allen, the one that took her life at Leander High, she had friends in our youth ministry that cared and loved about her, but they didn't know what she was going through. And I'm not saying no one knows what you're going through, but here's what I'm offering you is that there's hope because you are loved. You are someone that people value here. And we wouldn't be who we are without you guys here. And on this side, here's what I got to tell us is we got to keep our eyes open and go, man, what are some of the signs that I need to look for? Who do I need to be there for? How can I be someone that they can talk to? And here's the other thing. We can't judge people. There's no judgment in this. Just because someone's had that thought or struggles, you cannot be someone that judges because when you do that, people sense that and they go, no, you're not someone I can trust. So we got to be there together in this. And again, if it's someone that you go, I need to take them to talk to someone, go with them and say, let me go with you. I know someone. Get help. One of the crazy stories I'll never forget is in Coach Anderson's class. When that girl brought that bag with a rope to hang herself, but that day someone came to her desk and dropped a note and said, hey, I recognize you. You're unique. You might be different, but you're pretty and all this. And she read it and she started crying. She brought the bag to Coach Anderson's class or to his desk and said, I'm not going to do this. And Coach said, what happened? Why do you feel this way? She goes, I felt alone. No one's ever cared. Don't have the best home life. Well, why did you stop it? Because someone noticed me. Someone recognized me. And so what I'm trying to get at as well is each one of us is different. Each one of us can act our own way. But when we take advantage of that or we push people down because of the way they act and the way they look, again, that bullying may send someone over the edge and you may not even know that. But you can also bring life by just using words and just saying, hey, you look nice today. Not in a creepy way. Or, just going, hey, do you want to come sit with us? Do you want to go hang out? Taking up for the person that no one takes up for. You could change someone's life because you do that. Words, and all it does is take words.
Thank you for watching our Resources Videocast. We would like to extend a sincere thank you to Mario Morales Jr. for sharing his heart, time, and passion with our youth. Look for more information about bullying and mental health in our upcoming CSRM programs. Be sure to check out all of our podcasts at scic.com/podcast.